Hello, I'm Katie. Thank you very much for having me. So I have a friend who believes that all things in life can be boiled down to three words, and I'm not sure that I subscribe to that fully, but Chris said that I should use this opportunity to find people in the room who might be able to help me with what I'm working on. So a challenge to you all, if you were to give me three words you think might be essential to my next steps, what would they be? Overlooked challenges or opportunities, strategic priorities, whatever you think, and thank you in advance. And in return, here are three words on what I'm about to present, just so you can, so you know that the end is near. So BIM, churches, and Cheribim. So first up, BIM. I guess a lot of people in the room will already know what BIM is, but I thought it was worth just outlining the concept as a basis for what I'm working on. BIM, or Building Information Modelling, is an evolution of CAD, computer-aided design, which in its infancy digitised hand drafting in the architecture, engineering and construction sectors, representing building designs by arranging lines on a page. Developments then made volume-based modelling possible, with advantages such as amendments to the model being visible in all views rather than needing to be updated in all the plans and sections. And thereafter, object-based modelling saw the emergence of BIM, wherein virtual replicas of all of a building's components were used with information about them embedded and accessible via the model interface. All of that embedded information, from carbon footprint to scheduling on site, then enabled powerful analysis at all stages of the design and construction process, allowing, for example, buildings to be designed with financial and environmental cost savings. Such advantages were also achieved as BIM enabled coordinated and collaborative working, with all disciplines contributing to the creation of the model, where features such as clash detection avoided unexpected issues on site, and all stakeholders were therefore equipped with the latest information throughout. Once constructed, once the building is constructed, the model can then be used for facility management throughout the building's lifespan, providing a platform for logging, inspection and monitoring data, for example, and informing refurbishment and disposal processes. So these information management and exchange advantages throughout a building's lifespan, of course, present significant potential in the conservation and heritage sectors, where existing buildings are often complex and irregular, requiring a variety of specialists to contribute to their upkeep and adaptation. BIM for historic buildings is therefore a topic which entered in the academic literature around 10 years ago. Since then, many aspects of the workflow which enable it have been improved, most significantly perhaps 3D data capture. However, a significant bottleneck remains in the conversion of point cloud data into individual components. And so two main approaches to addressing this have been to create component libraries and also the application of AI. While success has been achieved in specific applications, an AI with the ability to recognise historic building components across their diversity in line with human capability is yet to be achieved, not least due to the lack of viable data sets for such an endeavour. Part two, churches. This map shows the locations of all the church buildings in the care of just the Church of England. So that doesn't include any other denominations, such as Catholic, Baptist, independent churches. That is just under 16,000, representing every area in the country and every century of building, probably for the last sort of 1,200 years. So it may not come as a surprise to you that of those 16,000, 12,500 of them are listed. So that's statutorily protected for their historic and architectural interest. Across that building stock, the Church of England estimates that over the next 5 years, at least £1.14 billion worth of maintenance and repairs will be needed, a cost which, according to a 2019 study by Historic England, will increase by 25% every 5 years where repairs are left unattended. Are churches really worth that sort of investment? Clearly, that's a huge topic, but just to give you some food for thought, In 2018, the National Churches Trust reported that community activities such as food banks, wellbeing cafes and youth groups hosted by churches would cost £12.4 billion to replace. To put that in context, that's the equivalent of the total NHS spending on mental health in England just that same year. And that figure has since increased to £50 billion following the government's revision of how such value should be calculated in its latest edition of the Green Book. In spite of this massive value added, where the money for that upkeep will come from is unknown. And as MP Andrew Sullis reported to the House of Commons earlier this year, whilst the Church Commissioners have committed to provide £930 million over the period 2020 to 2022, that money covers a range of expenditure, and there is no national funding specifically for church maintenance and repairs, funding for which is usually raised locally. So that expenditure, therefore, is largely and understandably focused on supporting churches in their mission, not least creating that £50 billion value to their communities, and ensuring that they are able to meet legal requirements such as charity, commission, standards and safeguarding. And therefore, in many cases, the key input churches receive regarding upkeep of their buildings is via their quinquennial inspection, which is a 5-year condition survey required by law, very much in line with best practice according to the British Standards on Conservation of Historic Buildings. Those surveys generally include annotated photos of the building's key features and elements, representing a massive data set of variations on a theme. Nonetheless, these are unstandardized, of varying content and legibility to a non-expert audience, and understandably, given the huge burden of responsibility held by these church volunteers, sometimes end up in drawers until they are requested at the next inspection. So I hope that's given you a flavour of the church context. Obviously, it's massively complex, and I haven't quite covered all the nuances. But part 3, what am I trying to do about it? So Cheribim is a user-friendly platform for volunteers who look after churches to log and keep track of information relating to their buildings. It enables inspectors to undertake surveys using a bespoke inspection interface with automated reporting functions which share the inspection entries with churches in an easily navigable and understandable format. And it also serves as a CRM and asset management tool for those working centrally to support them, enabling them to maximise their use of any centrally held data which might inform support and resource allocation. To give you an idea of the progress which I've made to date, the prototype app has been tested with all 3 user groups, and I'm pleased to be in discussions with a denomination who are keen to roll it out in their London region. I have a pilot group of 15 church users from 2 denominations who are interested in the maintenance planning and logging features, and following feedback from testing the inspector side, I'm reworking the survey data input experience, as well as further aligning the data organisation with BIM methodology. To give you a small idea of the need within the sector for a product of this type, I recently surveyed 24 specialist inspectors, and as you can see from the slide, 2/3 of them reported that they estimated that they only invoiced 50% or less of their billable hours on a typical church condition survey due to a disproportionate amount of time spent reporting after the inspection had taken place. And on the right there, you can see that on average, 3/4 of surveys are taking more than 3 weeks to be delivered to clients, which could be done instantly through automated reporting. And those are just 2 examples of the vast improvements which adoption of tech and digitization of workflows in this field represents. So this is a comment from one of my survey respondents, but that's not actually the quote that I want to leave you with. I recently read in a blog that, according to Gartner, the next evolution of the digital twin will see applications moving beyond just assets to include entire organisations. This means people, processes, and behaviours will also be important data sources that give digital twins even more context about the built environment. So I haven't really mentioned digital twins, but I think in the most ambitious sense, what I'm trying to create is a digital twin for churches, which I hope will also create a useful data set for the development of AI-enabled BIM softwares, which are fit for the heritage sector. But even if I don't achieve any of that, I hope even if I just help churches keep track of their building information so that they can focus their time doing amazing work with their communities, I hope that I will have done something worthwhile. So that is the end. And if you did come up with 3 things which you think I should be focusing on or which I should be aware of, I would love to talk to you about it and hear your ideas or answer any questions. And there is my email address if we don't have a chance to chat now. And that's what I look like on LinkedIn. So thank you very much for your time and your thoughts.